Welcome to AI've Got Questions, the podcast for marketers trying to keep up with AI without getting overwhelmed. I'm Stacey Epstein, a longtime CMO who's spent enough time in the trenches to know it's not that people aren't using AI, it's that everyone's busy. The landscape is changing fast, and it's hard to know what's actually worth your time. Each week, we cut through the noise to uncover the tools, the tech, and the real-world use cases that matter, because the future's moving fast, and we've all got questions. I am so excited today because I have my good friend Amanda Kahlow on the podcast with me, the absolute first person I thought about when I had the idea to do this podcast. And I don't know if you remember, Amanda, we met because I interviewed with you in the very early days of Sixth Sense. I think we had a little sister mance at lunch that day, and it's been just fun knowing you and watching you ever since. But those were the early days of Sixth Sense. I think a lot of our listeners are going to know who you are, but I'm sure they would love to hear your story. Who are you? Tell us about your experiences, and then we'll move to the amazing thing that you've built today.
Yeah, so good to see you. And, I think of you, there's a few of you that I had these, we were interviewing, but I could never afford you. That's what I was looking for, but had this sisterhood. Carrie Lou's another one. She came in, she was at Atlassian. She was never going to leave Atlassian, but she came in just who's this CEO woman, and had a conversation. And, 10, 12 years later, still best of friends. And I love this. And I am that goes to who I am. I call my personal mission statement is I am a passionate, positive, spiritual warrior to empower women and girls. And that is at the core of why I do what I do and who I am. And I really try to live by that. Love men too, of course, but I'm an advocate for women as much as I possibly can. Yeah, I am a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company at 21. That went on for 16 years. And then I was the former CEO and founder of Sixth Sense, had a good run there, brought somebody amazing in to take the company to scale. And now I'm back at it. So I'm and I had two babies. I'm a single mom of two. I adopted my first, and my second is a little petri dish baby, that kind of designer baby, if you will, I like to call her. So yeah, I'm at it, working as hard as I can and trying to balance being a good mom at the same time.
Yeah, well, I've seen you with your two daughters, and they are adorable, and you guys are a great family. And I love that you have done that, and I have the same aspirations to help and empower the next generation of women, including my two daughters. So we're kindred spirits in that way. So let's talk about One Mind. I know you, but I also have seen you on LinkedIn, and I've seen your team members on LinkedIn, and there's so much enthusiasm and just excitement around this thing that you've built. So tell us about One Mind.
Yeah. So One Mind, we are building what we call go-to-market superhumans. It is a photorealistic face. You could also use a waveform. You don't have to use the face. So our technology is not all about the face. It's a face, voice, and a go-to-market brain that can do the thing a human can do across multiple functions and go-to-market. So everything from inbound on the website, she can qualify. She doesn't just qualify. She's not like a chatbot. She pitches. She answers hard technical questions. And then she can book a meeting. She can go all the way to close. So for customers like HubSpot of ours in their SMB segment, she goes for the close. She actually is increasing their purchase rate for their PLG motion. And then she can be a ride-along sales engineer. She joins a call. She answers. She's in more of the passive mode. I'm here to answer the hard technical questions when the AE gets stuck. Or think of those business models and motions where you can't afford to bring an SE or a solutions engineer onto every call. Your commercial segments, or even your first call for your SDR. If they're on the call with a buyer and a hard question comes in, wouldn't you love to have that question answered right there on the spot and accurately and confidently? So we believe that buying and selling happens in the conversation, not around the conversation. There's a lot of AI agents that help you summarize, do workflow, forecasting, et cetera. We're helping you move the needle where we think is the most valuable, which is when people are engaging, give them an empathetic, human-like experience, and put the control in the hands of the buyers. That's our goal. My goal is, we help companies grow. We help you cut costs on people and efficiency. But at the end of the day, My North Star is to build a better buying experience, to give them all the answers that they want on their first touch, anytime, anywhere, across any channel, on the website, in product, in Zoom, etc.
And then they, as the buyer, are buying the right thing for them. So it's truly beneficial for them as well. It's not just about closing sales, right?
100%, right? If we can just communicate in a way, like going back to like winning by designs principles of, their SPICE methodology, really uncover the pain and the impact and what you're trying to accomplish. And if you can have truly this empathetic, understanding conversation and then pull in the solution. We all try as sellers with the best of intentions to know everything about the buyer and what they need, but we learn things in that call. So we can't come ultimately prepared, right? We learn something in the moment. And in the moment, if I learn something about you and then I can pull in the right case study or pull in the right data point to move the deal forward, that's a win for both the buyer and the seller.
And so, I mean, this is just such a big idea. So let me get this straight. So if I'm a buyer, and let's just use HubSpot since you brought them up.
Yep.
I'm interested in some marketing or sales technology. I go to HubSpot and I'm like, yeah, I want to have a conversation about it. Am I just like doing a Zoom call with a robot? Is that like, tell me about that experience.
Yeah. So
Right.
today a buyer goes to a website, they can navigate around, they can download some content. Okay, now I'm ready to learn more. What do they have? Their options are two things: fill out a form and schedule a meeting, or get a little scheduler, a Chili Piper or whatever it is, to schedule the meeting with a human. So you wait. Okay, I was ready to talk now.
Yeah.
Now I have to wait. Or I can talk to a robotic chatbot that really is only there to qualify, can't give the pitch, can't share slides, can't share videos, can't give a demo, can't do the things, can't answer technical questions. It's just really there to qualify you. So I might go to the chatbot, but nobody likes to talk to a chatbot. 90% of the traffic leaves. Like they dink around and they do some research and then they're gone. So our goal is to engage that other 90% when they say, I want a demo, I want to learn, I want to have a conversation, I'm ready. Right there in that moment, they can have a conversation. Basically, a Zoom-like experience will come up. We can also join Zoom, so that's another use case. But in the web experience, it's a Zoom-like experience where you have two faces talking to each other. She shares slides like on a Zoom. She can share videos like on a Zoom, and soon she'll be able to click around and give a clickable demo. Soon she'll be able to read the screen. Those are the two big things that we're building for, is her to be able to see your screen. So think in the customer success use case. No, Stacey, you're in the wrong tab. Click on that left button. Oh yeah, there, you got it. Okay, now do this. Now do this. And infinite patience. Yes, has to like move on to the next thing. And like, I got to get you through because I've got 8 other people to go talk to because my time is infinite, is limited. And with a superhuman, she has all the time in the world.
Yeah, she doesn't get annoyed by seemingly dumb questions. It's funny, I think my daughter takes French and nobody else in this family speaks a lick of French. And so whenever she needs help with her homework, I'm like, go talk to ChatGPT. Because like there's no dumb question. She's like, I still don't get it. I still don't get it. I still don't get it. It's like it will tell you that it's fine all day long. So I love that about that kind of experience. It's just such a big idea. And I think, there's so much technology out there that's like just taking a little piece of our workflow, as you mentioned, and making it better, faster, and that's still amazing. But this is like overhauling your sales and marketing, at least the front end of the go-to-market function. How did you build this? I mean, you could sit and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? But as a fellow entrepreneur, I'm fascinated by your process.
Yeah, well, let me go to what you said earlier, that like there are a lot of incremental point solutions is what I was hearing you say.
Yep.
And a lot of people are using AI. I think this is where people are getting it wrong. They're using AI to fix what is already here today, to fix our current existing playbooks and processes, and to make something that we're doing today slightly better, or maybe much better. But we're working within the confines of what we know today. My ultimate goal is to say, if I had to start with a beginner's mind and I had to reinvent and I had all the tools I do have today, how would I think about buying and selling in the world of B2B? And it's not in the processes we have today. It's not updating systems of record. It's not forecasting manually. It's not having 17 layers of middle management to manage your sellers through the process. It's not building enablement tools that help me go over here and learn and then come back and try to apply it in real time. I would change how we buy and sell. I would start with like the core of what we're trying to do. We're trying to fix the buying process to make it easy for buyers to get their answers and learn that our solution fixes their problems and solves their needs. So when we think about that, it's a whole new experience, which I'm a really big believer. I love it when people tell me no and say, or they're not into what we're doing. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that as much as we were before. But like, I actually think that's a sign that I'm building something that's a new category. It's a sign that you're only going to have the early adopters that are going to come on and be ready for this, because it does require change management, new playbooks, new processes. And that's scary. And so for us, we have to sell at the highest levels. I'm selling at the CRO and CMO level because typically, the couple steps down aren't necessarily ready to make these massive shifts in their organization. So I need people who are really on the hook for growth, right? And on the hook for making change and have the flexibility to do so. So to your question of how we got here, I was approached by a company who built the technology in a lab. So they had actually quite a bit of funding, and they had cloned they cloned Barack Obama was a customer, and Deepak Chopra, and they had an AI for caregivers of dementia patients. I recently lost my mom of dementia, so that drew me in at first. I was like, wow, this is cool. But immediately I said, it's not my lane. Like, my lane is B2B sales and marketing. So I almost walked away from it. And then I went away one weekend and I was like, wait a minute, can this be a salesperson? So I came back to the tech team and I was like, can it do this? I wrote this massive requirements doc. Like, I literally spent 3 straight days just like, I need to be able to do Can it do all these things? And can we get here? And I don't need you to get here tomorrow, but can we do this? And they like came back and like, yeah. And I was like, all right, I have something for this. Like, we can do this. So then we spun off that company. I now own all the IP. We spun it off into a new company, raised money. We raised 9 million, just actually exactly a year ago. Very soon going out. That was our seed round. Soon going to go out for our A, because we've got some momentum and wind in our sails, if you will. Yeah, that's how we got off to the races. And here we are building go-to-market superhumans versus just like generic superhumans, if you will.
Yeah, amazing. It's incredible. I think if we look at history and some of the truly great innovators, love him or hate him, people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and were the people that said, I know, same, not my favorite people. But there's that mindset of like, just am able to throw away everything, just think on a different level of like, the art of the possible. And I do think all of this new AI technology is giving us that opportunity. So big round of applause to you for being one of those kinds of thinkers and going for it. Sounds like it's going super well. HubSpot's an awesome customer. You're smiling today. I think it's the last day of your quarter.
It is last day of our quarter. And I can say this, that we blew through our target for the year because we've been around for a year now, only selling for 6 months, but we hit a number that was kind of a best case. It was like our board best case, and we blew through it by 120%. So I couldn't be happier right now. Yeah, today is a good day. I am all smiles.
Yeah, I can see it. It's awesome. It's infectious. Okay, well, I'm going to have to ask, and I'm sure you get asked this all the time. What about all of the people that say you're taking jobs away from all those salespeople and all of those qualification people and SDRs? How do you respond to that?
Yeah. And this is when I'm not going to be smiling, in the sense, I think there is a human element to this. Like every revolution of our time, we have to reskill and we have to retool. And it's real. I think we're doing the world a disservice by saying it's just augmenting, and those people who learn AI are going to be replaced by people who not. It's truly getting rid of jobs. Is there another job for you? Yes, absolutely. I believe that there are still places for humans, like even in what we're doing. We're not building the relationship. We're not navigating the org of knowing, okay, now I've talked to the CRO, I need to get to the CMO. And, there are still pieces that the human brain, we're not at AGI yet. I do think we're getting close to it. I think we're closer to it than we think we are. But I don't think we're helping anyone by telling people that their jobs aren't being replaced, because they are. And people have to get serious about it. I'll give you a personal story. My neighbor across the street is a data scientist, and his mom and I are really close. And she said, can you help him? Like, he can't seem to find a job right now. So we just had a quick chat. We went for a walk, and then I put him in touch with our head of Gen AI. And next thing you know, he's a prompt engineer for us. So it wasn't intentional. I wasn't trying to get him a job, to be honest. Like, it was just like, talk to him so he can give you some help on like how to get into this world of AI. I mean, I think these prompt engineer jobs are like, they're going to be so many of them, and how creative and how fun. It's like, it's now, even though AI is taking over creative, it's now a creative person's world in some way, because like, you have to be able to think from zero, not think incremental changes, versus like it used to be an engineer's world that we were living in. So it's shifting, and I think there will be other places. Maybe I'll go out on a limb and say, and this is going to put maybe my politics out there a little bit, but I do believe there might be a world where we all don't have to hustle to make ends meet. Could there be a new societal structure that AI, provides our basic needs, and we don't all have to. Not everybody wants to. Like my oldest brother, he doesn't want to work. He wants to take care of people. He wants to be a caregiver, and there's really no money in what he's doing. He helps people with end of life, and there's like very little income, but he's doing amazing things for humanity. And so I think there's going to be a shift in power and how our societies work. And I think we all just have to be open, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I 100% am of the same mindset. I think the world order is going to shift a little bit, but there's always going to be plenty of need for smart and capable humans to do lots of different kinds of jobs. So I totally agree with your commentary there. What about the people that say, "Oh, everybody just wants to talk to a real human. Nobody wants to talk to a robot."
It's my favorite question ever. So, when is the last time you, who is listener, or anyone has gotten excited to get on a call with a salesperson?
Pretty much never.
Said no one ever.
Yep.
I want to have relationships with my family. I want to have relationships with my team. I want to have relationships with my partner. I do not want to have a relationship with my salesperson. I don't want to make small talk. There's so much wasted time and energy that goes into a sales call. What we want is we want information, and we want it to feel heard, and we want to make sure we're getting accurate answers. And I love it when people say, well, your AI hallucinate, because my retort right back is, do your sellers hallucinate? And do they do it nefariously knowing that they're hallucinating? At least
Right.
the AI doesn't know. And once you correct her once, she'll never do it again. So, her likelihood of hallucinating is exponentially lower than a human. But it's interesting how the bar is so much higher for AI. If she says one thing slightly off, or we would have said it slightly different, people are like, wait, that's not right. Whereas a seller can just, I'm
Yeah.
on so many calls and I'm like, not actually what we
Yeah,
do.
totally. Yeah,
Right?
you're getting accurate info out there to your buyer.
Totally.
Interesting. Well, one of the things that salespeople do, yeah, this struck me as you're talking about relationships, and I was a sales rep in a former life, is, understand the buying power in the organization, asks the questions about budget and, who's the decision maker. And does it go that far into the process? Is it doing the asking back to make sure that it's a qualified deal and that it like understands the strategy of winning a deal?
Oh, 100%, and better than a seller in that way. So you're giving the superhuman the questions, and they basically, if somebody's coming in, I need to qualify. Like for our Mindy, if you talk to Mindy and you say you're a CEO, she'll try to book a meeting right away with me. She'll say, all right, I should not be having this conversation. Let's
Nice.
just get right to Amanda's calendar.
Yeah.
And you can train her to ask the questions that your sellers sometimes are afraid to ask. Like asking do you have budget? Is the timing right? Is the needs? What are your objections? Like getting to all the objection questions that only the best sellers are doing really, really well, right? And based on what they know. So I think she's actually better at some of those things. Now, does she fully understand the nuance of the conversation? No. Is she able to ask those questions and kind of fake it and go through the process? Yes. And get all the information out. Is she giving the buyer what they need? Yes. But there's still a role today for the strategic enterprise seller. I
Yeah.
don't know that we'll always be there, because I do think we are moving towards closer to AGI, where she can read the tone of voice. She can read if you say yes, but you really mean no. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that. You
Right.
meant no, right? Like, so she can't read that today, but she will
Yeah.
be in the future. So
Interesting.
all of those things are coming in the very, very short order. And to look through the camera and like recognize body language, like if I'm sitting back and leaning back versus leaning in. Like I was just on a sales call with the CRO, and his body language like started really far back, and I could tell he was doing other things. And then towards the end of the call, like his face was right up in the screen, and he was like, and I'm like, I got him now.
Yeah.
So like I could
Yeah.
read that, and I knew hook, like got it.
Mm-hmm.
Our superhumans can't do that today. So there's
Okay.
still a place for a seller in that world.
Interesting. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I know when I was a rep, like sometimes those questions can get uncomfortable to ask.
Totally.
And so I don't want to ask them, but I'm guessing Mindy has no discomfort in asking all those questions. Okay, quick question. How hard is it to get set up? I mean, obviously it has to get really knowledgeable.
It's as easy as I built Mindy over the weekend. I had
Oh,
one sales deck and I wrote like 150 FAQs. I was like, and wrote them all out. And then she's there, and we basically haven't tweaked her in 6 months because we've been so focused on our customers. We just haven't had the resources to change her. And she's pretty darn good. Somebody like a HubSpot or, like Nutanix, other customers of ours, it can take 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get all
Wow.
your content ready, where it's like, okay, give me your content. Then there's a week of us training the superhuman. The actual building of the superhuman is really short. We've got all kinds of tools that process the data, organize the data, create the embeddings, like create, make it so you can see her, the brain scan, see what's in her brain, know what her knowledge is. And then there's a few weeks of testing. So the whole process is about 6 to 8 weeks of like getting a superhuman live. And most of it's in the upfront. Like, what are the flows? What is her goal? Is her goal to close the deal? Is her goal to book a meeting? Do you want different flows for different profiles, et cetera? And what's the integration into CRM? What do we know about the opportunity and how should she use that in conversation? Like, there are so many opportunities. It's almost like, let's get the basic version of her out. That's like 90%, 80% there. And then we can iterate from there, because it's just never ending. You can just keep doing more and more and more with her.
Makes sense. I mean, you're talking like 6 to 8 weeks is a long time, and I'm thinking about how long it takes to onboard one rep and get them to know 65% of what they need to know, and that's just one rep. If you have an entire sales force, yeah. So it's pretty incredible. I'm sure the ROI is massive. Okay,
And she
last
never
question.
forgets. She never has a bad day. She
Yeah.
never quits. She
Yeah.
never like gets sick. She never
It's
has
like,
like
yeah.
kid problems. Like, and she only gets smarter. So I always say, like, every day you meet her is going to be her worst day.
Yeah.
She's only going to get better over time.
Truly incredible.
Thank you.
Last question. What's it like this time around? You built a really incredible company at 6 Sense and you're doing it again. How does it feel to be doing this again?
It feels very different. I feel as the perspective I'm coming in, I have 2 kids. Even though I have crazy energy, it's still there. I feel like more of a calmness, and I feel like a presence. And the more you know, the more you don't know, the more I ask for help. I made a lot of mistakes in the early days of 6 Sense, and Jason and team came and did amazing things with the company. And I learned. I actually was able to watch him while I was there. There was some overlap, and I hope to be applying those learnings to what I'm doing today. I feel like I'm a lot more focused on culture and people and process that I was. I was more really laser focused on just product at 6 Sense in the early days. And there weren't playbooks like back in 2012 that there are today, or the level of playbooks we have today, and the knowledge of even knowing who the right head of sales is. Like, I made some pretty bad head of sales hires early on at 6 Sense, and they were wonderful people that are very capable, but not the right fit for what we were doing. And today I've crushed that hire. Like,
Yes,
my
you
hire
did.
right now, Katie, is just,
I love her.
she's on fire. She's curious. She's passionate. She wants
Yeah.
to learn. She's got a beginner's mindset. She has no ego, and we just get along. So it's like, it just works. So I feel so blessed to be able to have a second shot to do it again. And I feel like 6 Sense was my training ground for what is One Mind, which is going to be my legacy.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I love watching your success on LinkedIn. I love seeing your bright smiling face when you talk about it. I am personally so bullish on what you're doing, and I will absolutely let my listeners know where they can get in touch with you. And thank
Thank
you
you.
again so much. It was just sheer joy to have you on one of my first shows.
I love it. It was super fun. You're the best. I'm here for you. If I can ever do anything for you, I have the same admiration for you as well. So always here to help.
Thank you so much. Bye.